Courtney brought it up about practice in some of the arts that she'd trained in before, where there's lots and lots of repetition of doing the same thing over and over and over again with no real discussion or understanding or anybody describing what that is. And that's a type of training called renshu. Renshu is just where you do lots of reps. And you see it in most arts, where there's just do a whole bunch of reps of this and just shut up and do it kind of thing. It's not built around describing anything to you. It's not educational in the sense of understanding it. It's educational in the sense of informing your body how to do it and do it reflexively. And a huge part of the martial arts revolves around that. And so getting your reps in, just doing a bunch of reps, like in Judo and Uchikomi, just setting over and over again. Kihans in a lot of the weapons work is similar. But we tend to focus strongly on keiko. Keiko is to reflect on the olden days, reflect on the ancient. And it tends to be more verbally oriented, and you have this physical interaction along with a lot of description or discussion. And it's just a style that's grown up in our educational format in this particular system that may or may not be all that helpful. I mean, you can feel like you learn stuff real fast if you study a lot of keiko, because you can get the ideas quickly. But it doesn't help you internalize it any quicker, I don't think. I think you still got to have renshu. You still got to have the repetition. And even in traditional culture in Japan, China, and whatnot, you see that with a very similar breakdown. Like, well, the Buddhists doing sutras. There's sutra study, where you're studying the text. You're studying the holy book, right? And you're going word by word and trying to sort out what it's all talking about. And then there's just recitation. There's just reading it kind of in a chant form, da-da-da-da-da, really fast. And it's to imbue it into your bones, basically. They don't really care if you even understand what's coming off the page. It's more like the prayer flags, waving in Tibet, right? Just the act of it being in nature and waving and in motion makes it somehow come alive. The act of doing it in repetition makes it come alive. It's very, very similar. Very similar kind of thinking. So two different modes of education go on in martial arts, and I would argue in Asian educational structure in general, whether it's secular or religious or any type. And you're going to see strong tendencies to have bodies of work just built around lots of rep practice with no talking about it, or little to no talking about it, basically. Maybe little physical corrections added on. And then you'll see a whole other body of work where these long-winded people stand up and talk too much, like me, right? And that's just the different side of things. But I don't think one's better than the other. I think they're both. In fact, renshu is probably a little better than keiko, actually, because you get it imbued in your nervous system quicker that way. But you can also get dumb shit imbued in your nervous system that way. So you can get bad repetitions in. And if you don't have some kind of feedback to keep repetitions tight and be keeping them happening the way you want them to happen in order to get the kind of effects out of the body that you're looking for, then yeah, you can wind up, doing high reps of dumb things. And if you do high reps of dumb things, you'll probably do those dumb things when,
like the hurricane.
Yeah, do the hurricane. We can all practice the hurricane very carefully, over and over again, very, very fast. That's right. Have you guys seen all that?
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about? The hurricane? You haven't seen that?
No.
Enter the Dojo. Go on YouTube and watch Enter the Dojo. It's Ameridote. It's this made-up martial art. These guys in New Mexico. It's very funny skits. And they have a great sense of humor and do amazing things. So one of their signature moves of their top dance of death, bad stuff they do, they call it the hurricane. And it's just this random-ass flailing. He's just jumping and kicking and pinching and just going wild. But yeah, you can wind up with the hurricane if you don't watch out. Oh, so this morning we talked about Mr. Tomiki's work. And we talked about how when Mr. Tomiki was doing balance break, what we see a lot is not this, the stepping forward business. We see a lot of him stepping back and down this line business. And the first technique in the series that came from that 1952 video was what? You got to remind me. What are we doing? Nobody remembers from this morning. Oshitoshi. So we're going up through his ear, and when I get to the peak of his ear, where do I go? Out to the side, by golly. That's right. Cool. And he did that right and left. So he would also step off to this side, and then this. Cool. So we got both. Then, what came after that? Hikitaoshi. So hikitaoshi, and rather than go over here and then out here somewhere, right? It had this very different quality because it went lateral side and down, right? Went out to the side, and we discussed how just a finger of this weight of the arm dropping sets them in that hole, right? And we did some of that, and that's kind of cool. You don't feel this? It's kind of cool. Side step. Yeah, kind of sweet. And what came after that? Was Kotegaeshi the next? Was it? So we just covered 3 of them this morning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so Kotegaeshi. And Kotegaeshi, we had this side position. And when I first talked about it, I was going backwards still, wasn't I? I was doing this. But really, you start getting these things where he's going side position and just winding up kind of square. It's almost like Merritt Stevens' system. Guy's coming in here and we're winding up this way with the guy. So basically, yeah, this sort of thing to wind up on the fella. You say, man, I'm having some resistance here. I have a little bore here rotating around the point of that. And we talked about how if the hand is powerful and he's keeping the wrist locked so that I can't just twist this over. I can't just rotate right here. It's the whole body rotating that takes it into there. And that because of that sort of resistance in the wrist, you're going to wind up with more of a back fall. It's usually not going to be a flip. You can let the wrist go if you like. If I'm going through this process of going around here and the wrist bends, well, you may get that. You may get the flip. But if he keeps the wrist straight, boom, you rotate around this thing. Don't let that bend.
Oh, right. No bend.
Be bad boy. Don't let me bend your wrist. There you go. That the whole body has to distort because this ain't going. If we're rotating around this point, yeah, you get more of the back fall thing typically because by golly, he's not going to let this go. And because he won't let that go, the Gaisha is expressed in the larger form. Cool? All right. And we talked a little bit about how this is related to some Judo thinking and how our balance breaks that we're used to more are related to a different type of Judo thinking. Is there anything that you want to see again or talk about any of that before we go forward? No. Okay. So next in the thing, what you see in this deal is as he's coming forward, the attack here, is we're going to wind up, I was wrong. Back step again. Here. And this time it's almost like we did the Oshitoshi again, but this time we're further out on his hand. So if we're here doing Oshitoshi and we're sort of on his forearm as we begin that, this time we're a little further out. Back step with the left, and you can immediately come to Haneri. So from this pointed hand, we're in this Haneri action. And we step into the Haneri all the way up next to him, like we're driving it through his ear, and then we hand it off to the other hand. And then he did a nice little forward roll. He basically throws the guy down and over the line of the little toe right there. Okay? So it's a different ending. It's a different pickup for Tenkai Kota Haneri. It's basically taking a fairly weak Haneri here. Here's the Haneri. Stepping up into it, changing to Tenkai. Let's turn around. We have a place to go. And now I'm aiming down the line of that little toe right there. And extending. So again, we're interested in the weak line here and the weak line there. Okie doke. So that's what's next on the picture. Haneri stepping back. Step in and drive it to their ear. Hand change. And then look for the other line and extend down and through it. Questions? Combining 3 techniques. You really have the Haneri. You have the Tenkai Kota Haneri when you change the grip. And you're really kind of doing Mayatoshi at the end. There have been many times in my past where I've wound up in a Tenkai Kota Haneri thing and done this part and they've fallen, but it was never really very well defined. It wasn't until watching him and thinking about that line right there and thinking about going right down the line of that little toe that finally it started, it's a very definitive sort of dropping casting motion. I was just casting it down in that particular line that made it a pretty high probability thing at that point. And it is unusual because it's out and also dropping at the same time. You see Mr. Tomiki has a little dip in his posture. He's very obviously dropping distinctly into it as he's doing it. Cool. But it's also happening really tight to the body. If you try to do this out in space, you get out here. And you say, right? You see a lot of people try to do Haneris and make people flip this way. But it's, turn your body. Okay. Woo. Very distinctly different when it goes down that line. So, yeah, it helps define it for me that if you're going to do this as a throwaway, you're doing a Mayatoshi. You're going through this line right there. Yeah, and that's what it's about. So it's compressing 3 techniques. Now we do Mawashi, but is there any feedback on that one? Anything else? No? Because you guys teach me neat stuff when you give me feedback.
Well, I'm still kind of entertained by the up into the shoulder thing that's happening. And it's happening every time we ever go off to the side.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about the initial, this thing?
Jamming it all the way up to the shoulder and kind of keeping it up into the shoulder.
Right, right.
A bit of the time.
Sort of screws with one side of their body immediately. Right. And it's, another thing we were talking about is this perching him on a wire thing. He's delivering energy here. And if I do this well, I get him kind of stuck on a wire, like he's on a high wire again. If I do it poorly, I overbreak him. He just keeps on coming. Yeah. Damn. This thing keeps rolling at me. And there is some danger in doing back steps too much. And because if they do continue on, we don't know how much back. I mean, I have 40 feet of back step in this room. Right. But in the real world, you have curbs and lampposts and Amandas and puppy dogs and stairwells and, yeah, terrible things that you take that back step and then, that wasn't what you planned. And so there is some diciness. If you build a strategy out of an infinite number of back steps, which you can do on a judo floor because it's a big, giant open floor largely, but you can also, be fooled by that when it gets into reality and you're out there. So we've talked before, I think, about when you have a sense of encounter that you might want to take a back step now so that you know you have your back step if you need it. I see Harold over there eyeballing me. He's giving me the eyeball. I get an eerie feeling. My spidey sense is going off. So I might want to take that little back step now and then kind of shuffle. By golly, I know I've got that step now. It's a little preparatory thing, I'm just a little do-si-do, dancy thing. And at least for the moment, if he comes up in my face at this moment, I know I got that step. But if you have to pull that off and surprise that step ain't there, that step is a 1,000-foot drop, then wow. I would hope you noticed the 1,000-foot drop while you were standing next to it, but you never know. Could be concealed carefully like ninjas, ready to do a deadfall trap for you. You never know. So, the back step, little dicey. Nice to set that up beforehand so you know where your territory is at with your feet before things come on you, if you can. If you can. The forward stepping strategy's a little wiser due to that because, the back step can be treacherous. So just be advised. The next one he had was Mawashi. And he came all the way straight back. And made Koda Mawashi in one little action. Comes in, compresses him straight down, and just throws him on his butt right there. That's pretty much it. You can think about this as pushing. I'm holding with one hand and I'm pushing with the other to create this structure. Once it's in place, compression. Almost straight back and push. Push the back of the hand. Compression, down. Compression, down. There we go. Good. Compression, yeah. There we go. Push, compression, down. There. This hand's holding. This hand's pushing the back of the hand into position. All the wrist locks he's doing. The Kodagaishi, right? Push, 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 push. The Haneri, right? Push, 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 right? And now mawashi, gripping here, pushing here. Then lock, then down. Cool? Don't tweak the lock really hard. It's just enough to crumple the posture. Doesn't have to be powerful. Just has to be into a structure. Doesn't have to hurt here. Doesn't have to hurt here in order to cause the buckling thing to happen. In fact, there's a whole line of wonderful teachers that basically set this sort of thing. They just put it on their body and then they just crumple the body around that point. And there's not a lot of torquing here. There's not any grip, in fact. There's just a structure that's interfering with it. So try not to get too wound up on twisting the wrist down. It's more that the fact, like how it sets up, that is just a crumpled structure with a bunch of push into it. If you want to make a change that affects them without making extra power in your hands, you can change your posture. Not a big postural change, just a little one. You just change the angle of your whole body from your hip, like one tick forward. Yeah, like you're praying. Yeah, how are you doing today? Exactly. Try it that way. You have, come on, Harold. If I'm out here with an iron fist, right, and Harold's going to do it to me, man. And he locks it, he pushes it, he gets it all into place. If Harold starts twisting on this and trying to make this go up and this go down and be powerful in his hands, I can be powerful in my hand too. You can have a hell of a fight. Somebody saying, I don't like you breaking my wrist, you can't do that to me, right? If they got the iron fist on, or they got the iron gauntlet on, right, that thing just ain't going to bend. But what Harold can do is change at the hips and direct his whole line of energy, hold this static, and bring this all at me and down into my center. Ooh, yeah. Right through the line of my body. So he can have an iron fist right here. Boom, we have this. But this change, the change that happens here, is really hard to mess with. And it's important that it does go right into him, that it's, we say, boom, we have this iron fist thing. Boom, it goes right into him. Right into him. Then you don't have to go very far. You don't have to bend down hard. You don't have to bow deep. You just have to change the angle slightly, right? And once he's buckled, now there's a little back step, a little forward step, I mean. Cool. So you do get to step finally and push him if you want. Or kick him, or whatever you like. Now we have Shionagi. And Shionagi is interesting because in this older form, it's again back step with the left. But I'm on the inside now. And then front step with the left. Then coil. And interestingly, he doesn't take a big step now. He does bring this straight down back and just throw him right there. So it's no longer the long extension form that we're used to seeing. Well, we're used to forward step, push him away, right? And that's cool. This is very different. Back step left, forward step left. When you make the turn under, everything comes straight down. Cool. Back step left. Boom. Forward step left, coil. We're here, straight down. Cool. Right there. Cool. You got the picture? Really just pushing this into a big circle until it gets to the sweet place, and then it turns into a straight line and just descends in one little quick gesture. That's really pretty sweet. Much like doing the mawashi. Push it all the way in, and then the body. Push it all the way in, kotegaeshi, and then the body. It's right behind it, doing it to it. So it's less about getting locks happening out here, and more about the way our whole body dynamic locks them up. And so it's studying it in this bigger frame. Kaitanagi's next. Kaitanagi. So up till now, our left foot's been going back. Now, our right foot's going to go back. And then we slip under. Almost like we're going to do Tenkai Kodaneri to him, but instead, we capture his head and his shoulder and we roll him off. Okay, so right foot comes back. He's attacking right. Right foot comes back and sets him in this hole. Right foot goes under, turns. Yeah. And Kaitanagi. Here we are. Right foot goes back through this hole. turns to control the head, throws them off. Right foot goes back. First time his right foot went back in this whole damn day. I sat there watching it over and over again. I kept blinking because I've been watching his left foot go back every damn time up till then.
Did you think you made a mistake?
I thought I made a mistake.
Oh.
I don't think I'm saying what I'm saying. Yeah, right foot went back. Right foot goes in. And that's very similar to the shionagi, that our left foot went back and our left foot goes in. Sort of like hokey pokey. The right foot, very much like that. Who have I known? Did I get you? Right foot goes back. Right foot goes in. Control the head and shoulder. And woo, forward roll. If you have her arm collapses like a big springy weird thing, we have to push through the shoulders. A little different. I forgot about your shoulder. Here we
I
go.
can't roll out of that.
You can't roll?
Not out of that one when you collapse my shoulder like that.
Hand down here. And forward roll. Yeah, you can roll. You okay? Okay, so you just got to coax her into it. Who did I not? Who have I not? Did he get you? Get you? Okay.
I'm scared.
It's a forward roll. Can you do a forward roll? Do a forward roll. Ah, that's good. Okay, here you go, Nancy. That's all it is.
Okay.
Right foot goes back. Right foot goes under. Pivot, control the head, and are you ready for a roll?
Yeah, I'm ready for a roll.
There you go. Cool. Anybody else? Have you done a forward roll?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, let's see it first. Prove it. Let's see your forward roll. Oh, that's pretty close. Okay. We'll go real slow. Whoever's worth Luis, go real slow. Here we go. Right foot goes back. Right foot goes forward. Control down into the head. Forward roll. There you go. Good, good, good. All right. Kaitagi. Kaitagi. With a setup that begins like we would think Tenkai. So this is an interesting period. He had a lot of beginnings that you think, oh, we're doing Kodo-Neri. No, we're doing Tenkai. And then you say, oh, we're doing Tenkai. No, we're doing Mayatoshi. This time I went, oh, we're doing Tenkai. No, we're doing Kaitanagi, right? So it's different entries than we're used to for things that we've run into before, but are just coming out of the woodwork at us. Okay? Quick throw. That's wonderful. Lurking in there the whole time.
And mine is you're right here,
Hip switch.
and do a hip switch.
Yeah. Yeah, just rotation in the hip to throw.
Groovy, man. I was
Both
just
really
trying to
kinda
figure out
cool.
which hand was which.
I like both of them.
So legs.
But once you get to which hand, which part, then you can do cooler things like that.
Okay, I was starting.
Cool. Anything else that I missed out that you guys were doing? How about you guys? We found that Amanda is very bendy, and you have to sort of keep pushing until you get the pressure gradient right, and then she'll bend over. But if you just push to what you naturally think is the target place of where you ought to push, her shoulder and elbow and they all just go, and you're holding this thing like, come on, it doesn't do anything. But then you got to go, and then, shoo, then you get the posture, right? So it's a feel deal. It's a feel deal. How about you guys?
Figured it out quick.
Cool. How about y'all?
It's fun.
Cool. Okay. Finally, we're going to take a forward
Actually, I
step.
will ask a question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please do.
How did Tomiki have his initial grip?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't make fine enough notes at 1 in the morning last night. If you want to review this and look at the black and white film, it's the 1952 black and white thing. It's the same one that had the Judo Taiso on it. And you're looking for the set that starts with Oba coming at him like that, basically. And it's toward the middle to late part of that 10-minute little video clip. So yeah, feel free to look it up, but I'm not certain. I thought it was like this, but I may well be wrong. I thought it was like this.
Okay.
And then this changed on the fly.
Right.
And this went here. And then he did that at the end. Or some such.
That changed on the fly.
Changed on the fly. And it is. It's hard to make out all the little old black and whitey details, but it kind of looked like that to me. Looked like basically starting into a Tenkai Kodo-Neri.
Right?
Yeah. Cool. Then we finally have a forward step. At long last, the attack's coming at him. And what does he do? And he meets the damn thing out here. But he doesn't step over there. He just sort of comes and meets the thing. Well, push at me a little bit. Yeah. Boom. And then he sort of fades back. Like, I'm being forced back. So it's almost like he has a real strong tension to want to do this extension thing on people, right? This little, take them off on the, put them on the high wire thing. So even when he comes forward and meets cross position, he has this little retraction. What happens next is kind of interesting. Uke gets assaultive and steps around and grabs his collar. Oh, man. And from here, we have this deep interaction. Go ahead and grab here. Yeah. Of stepping around and doing Gyakugami-ate. And also a little Gaiden-ate. See how my leg wound up slightly behind him. And then throwing him off this way. So this is the only Atimi waza in the set. So it's early in the process. So here I am. He's attacking me. I'm attacking him. Boom! We wind up here. Right? Little back step. I give way slightly. And he comes in and gets me by the collar. I say, whoa! I better take him for a little ride. Gyakugami-ate, leg behind him, like it's Gaiden-ate. Then throw off. Okay? So we have crossed action like standard balance breaky almost. But when we get contact, fade back. And on the fade back, Uke comes in, gets a hold of the collar. Right? Extension. Reversal. Oops, sorry. Do it again. Boom. Little back step. Collar. Good. Get a little grip on me there. Good. Extension. Reversal. There we go. Cool. Hit me in the nose. Boom. Little back step. He gets my collar. I take him for a little ride. And through. Cool. Position. Drop back slightly. Gives him an opening. Take him for the ride around the corner. Here. Cool. Boom. I give way. She comes and gets my collar. I take her around the corner. Sit behind. All right? Cool?
Any tips for some big dude you're trying to take for a ride?
Yeah. When you take him for a ride, and I fade back, you get my collar. This is like the perpendicular line of his feet. Right? So this is wanting to go down into this hole over here. And right there. Right. If everything was perfect in the perfect world, you'd be thinking that. But I don't get that. He's able to stop that. So you get this step. All right? In a perfect world, you'd throw him off that initial step. But can't always do it. And it's the one that most reminds me of our standard big dip roller coaster balance break. Right? This is very much what has happened from the inside. So it should feel basically kind of familiar to our big swoopy thing that we're used to doing a little bit. So try it a little bit. See what happens. It's more of a grappling thing. Up till now, he's been just poking at us. But now, he's got this little opening. He comes and grabs. Say, man, he's getting all over me. Take him for a little ride out front. Yeah, that's right. Good. Good. Try it out. Okay?
Does it matter which way your hand's facing?
Which hand's facing and which way?
When you finish it?
Oh, when you finish it? Not particularly. This way. I think this way probably. Palm up probably. Yeah. Give it. Boom. Collar. Boom. Yeah. Palm up at the end is going to be the best. This will still work, but I think you're going to have the biggest bang for your buck.
Oh, you should do a sneaky thing with your elbow.
Yeah.
It allows you to
Right.
be encouraging your elbow to be
You
part
could,
of the down.
you could do that. That's true. Yeah, you could. That's true. That's true. It was on that old video. Same basic beginning. So camera's coming in to hit me, and I meet him. Huh. Then I fade back. This time I fade back, and he comes all the way around to choke me. Ooh, it's deeper, right? So this ride is going to wind up pulling against my own damn neck this time. It's not the same, different. So this time, instead of going around this way, I raise this up and switch and come under. And now from here we have Mayatoshi. Mayatoshi like we just had before, right? So here we are, meet it, back off. He gets an opening. He's coming for my neck. I say, oh, over the top. Little hip switch action. Yeah, hold on, you'll flip them. You don't have to flip them, they can just roll. So we meet it, fade back. He slips all the way around us. Very tough grappling assault. If you find yourself in this kind of thing in a real world encounter, you know this sucks. This could be very bad. He's going to buckle you down and beat on your face and ride you into the earth. This really is bad. And this is a neat response. Hip switch. Put you right here. Hip switch, just push over your head. Cool. Meet it. Little fade back. She comes and wraps me up all the way around my neck. Ah, she's going to kill me. Good luck. There we go. Cool. We meet it. Boom. We fade back. She wraps all the way around. Hip switch. There we go. Meet it. Fade back. It's all the way around. Over the top. Yeah. Lay him down. Cool. Boom. Vicious step. Yeah. You feel the flip? Yeah. Flip's optional. I'm sorry. I did way too much push. Meet, fade off. Entry. Hip switch. And it's when you do this thing, it's that same kind of step we did for Mayatoshi before, pretty much the same thing here. Cool? This should be very familiar from releases. When you say, hey, what happens when they wrap all the way around you in a release? It's pretty much the same damn deal. Cool? So, that can kind of tie it like a fifth release. It's very similar. But it's a very tight little action. Just hip switch over the top. Try it. Let's show and tell a little bit. You guys had a nice hip throw. All these rotational throws live in an area where hip and shoulder throws live. So go ahead and do it. This is nice. He backs off. Uke attacks. Around the corner he goes. And boom. He's right in it. He's right in it. He's exactly where it lives.
It has the flavor of that judo kind of stuff.
It does. Some things that you can also apply to it, which are very Tomiki-esque, is that you have opportunities to make, and he comes around and grabs. As this is coming over, handing it off the tenkai here, controlling this from the collar up into his elbow or all the way into the armpit. Actually, if you stick it in their armpit, it's worse. The elbow is pretty bad because it's a big lever on his arm. But the armpit, man, once you hold him in the armpit, that hand is probably not coming back out of there. It's stuck most often. Out here, it still has a little play sometimes. So you may accentuate it with that. I'm fairly certain that when I looked at the video at 1 in the morning, that he did get this. I'm not sure that he did this part, but I'm pretty sure he did this part. But even if you didn't do any of it, even if you got none of this and you just stepped in with your body, you're basically where a hip throw or shoulder throw would exist, which goes back to the thesis that we're doing a form of judo, basically. We're just doing it as Aikido. We're doing judo at a distance. Anything from the day. We've completed all 9 techniques now from that set. What does it remind you of? What is it? What do you like? What do you hate? What do you think?
The last half of Kodaini.
Kodaini
Yes.
has very similar elements in it.
Yeah.
It sure does. It sure does.
Especially those last two. It's where we see them.
I think they probably are in that set. It's been a while since I've done it, but they feel familiar to me too. They sure do. What else?
That one where you got the wrist right there and you're just doing
The Mawashi.
That's pretty tricky to get the feel right for when you're actually plugged into their center.
We get so tied into pressure in the hands, I think. At least I have in the past. I've been really, and you run into people doing wrist locks and getting into kubiwaza, and they're really focused in all this twisty stuff here. And it's like they have a whole bunch of intentionality in their hands. And yeah, these forms, everything I saw from the old tape and really looking at it, it's very much body dynamic driven by with the step or with the posture or with the hands are basically pushing devices that pushes stuff into place and then holds it once it gets there. And then the deliveries of energy are not happening out here so much. It's happening with stepping actions or with postural change actions. And it is different. It's a different feeling. I suspect you could probably get that sort of thing and turn loose a Mawashi entirely and just still, yeah. So there's nothing on his wrist at all. You're just projecting down through his arm into it. Because really it's the pressure going into the body through the whole fulcrum rather than just the thing happening right out there at the wrist. Cool. What else comes up? What else it bring up for you?
I found out the ones where they bend over, it's easy to control their elbow to help. And then the ones where they get real close to you, the easier thing to do would just be stick your leg right in front of theirs, using your own one leg.
And make a little throw for you. Yeah. It's very close to it, yeah. I think there's a lot of potential application. Just the fact that most of it starts with this little step right here and setting them on this wire. And ideally so that the back foot is still engaged slightly. That little beginning, I think, to my mind, is homage to the first judo kata, Kano's own judo kata, which was he comes in and he's taking his grip. And as he takes his grip, I take a little back step with him. He takes another one, I take another back step with him. He takes another one, I take another, and I do that to him. Take him out over the line of his step. And it's basically ukiyo-toshi. It's basically saying, hey, as the guy steps at you, just extend him out there. Do that to him. It strikes me that that may be why we have so much of this back step left. That he's basically saying, Kano's first big idea was this. Why don't I play off that for a little while and see what I come up with? I suspect that it had to do more with what he got from Kano than what he got from Ueshiba.
So we do that as a drill going down the Itoshi line like that. We also do it as in Judo as a drill going down the perpendicular line, going down the other way. So were there any techniques going down that line?
Perpendicular?
Going down instead of going down this line, we're going down this line.
Oh. That's the perpendicular.
That's perpendicular.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Boom. That's the perpendicular. We're hitting him square to the line of his feet. Ideally, as the back foot touched. This would be your optimal thing. So you're kind of hang out and wait in space. His back foot touches, and then you hit him there. So that's the one that jumps to my mind. There may be others, but that's the first one that comes to my mind. Cool. Anything else, y'all? All right. Well, I hope Bob will be here soon. I'll go check my answering machine. I expected to see him by now, but his class should start at 6. And if it doesn't, then it'll be my class. But I project it'll be Bob's, so I look forward to it. I always like a class with Bob. Any questions? Any feedback? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here today.